Hi, I'm John Robert Sutton. I travel the globe searching for unique foods that have been shared by generations of families, culture, and tradition. I will connect you to the stories behind well-sourced food and the people and places who make it happen. Welcome to Truth in Food. I just got back from Thailand, and I was in Bangkok and went down to Pattaya, and I was there for about 2 weeks. The last time I was there for any length of time was in 1999, celebrating the going into the year 2000. I was actually in Cambodia when it went from 1999 to the year 2000, and after that I went into Thailand. And boy, what a remarkable transformation I've seen. It's just a phenomenal city. Skyscrapers like New York, an unbelievable transportation system that has been built, an above-ground transportation system, and a metro that whisks you to any part of the city for about 50 cents. Even getting from the airport on a 45-minute ride into the city costs about $1.70. And so Thailand is an incredible, vibrant city. And I stayed in what would be kind of the Times Square equivalent of Bangkok, and it's right across from a big mall called Terminal 21. And what's remarkable about this place, it's known by food critics and restaurateurs across the world as having the best food court in any mall in the world. And you go up, it's this massive mall, and you go winding up story after story after story, about 10 stories up to the very top. And what the owner of this mall did was very interesting. When he was building it, there was an enormous amount of food vendors down below, just working out in the streets. And instead of kicking them out so he could build this mall, he said, I want all of you vendors to come. I'm going to build each and every one of you a stall, and I'm going to have you go to the top of the mall rent free, and you can operate your food stalls up there. So there's about 100 of them, 100 of these Thai food stalls of these people in this modern setting. And you go and you have all the delights, every single, anything you want Thai food wise, you go there. Of course, the tom yum soups. You've got all of the papaya salads, which is, I just fell in love with these papaya salads with all the delicious chilies and garlic. The dumplings, the seafood dumplings, the shrimp dumplings in the broth and the noodles and the soup is just phenomenal up there. And you're going around and I'm looking and I'm you're seeing duck, hanging duck and the chicken and rice and all these dishes. And you have to go and buy a ticket. And you go to a central kiosk and you buy the ticket, or it's on a card, and you come back and they swipe it off, the balance off that card. So I'm looking up and I'm seeing, oh, wow, there's delicious chicken and rice with just the unbelievable moist chicken over this rice, and then a dumpling soup. And I'm looking at okay, that's 35 and another 30. So that's, I'm looking at about 65 Thai baht for this. So I go and pay, and I did the calculation, and this is a plate load of food, and that came out to about $2.20. Every single item that you can see, there's 100 stalls, thousands of items up there, is about $1, is about $1. You can eat like a king for $2 a day there and spend the rest of your life searching and finding, just in that food court alone, any delight that you want, including the famed mango sticky rice. And if you've never tried mango sticky rice, you've really never had anything like this in your life. It is an addiction for me now. In fact, being back here in Los Angeles, I am desperate to find where the nearest mango sticky rice outpost is, because it's just that sweetness sticky rice with mango, and over the top is a coconut sauce where it's just soaked into that. And there's something about the mixture of those flavors that I just can't believe I've never seen that dessert on any menu in any restaurant that I've ever been to here in the United States. It's something that you're going to see a lot of, because for me, it's an addiction. But getting back to this Terminal 21, as far as the eye can see are these, it's a massive floor, and there are thousands of people seating and eating and going up to dine in this area. And he was very smart, because you have to go through the mall to get up to that place. And so all those people are buying things, are going to the mall. And it's just legendary around the world how unbelievable this eating spots are. And then just going through the city, coming out of there, it's a foodie city. I've never seen so many street vendors of unbelievable food in all my life. I mean, there was one street vendor that I got to show a picture of that had mounds and mounds of lobster and shrimp and squid, and I mean piles of this stuff up that they were just serving out for $2 and $3 a skewer. And it's interesting there, because one of the things that I just saw the use of so much plastic there that was a bother, but then I saw signs of hope. There's a lot of wood skewers going through things, so you're really eating off the wood skewers and staying away from knives and forks that you can throw out. But at this going back to the Terminal 21 eating hall, they had a communal system of utensils. So after you got your food, you went to this center place, and that's where all your utensils were. And they had machines there. I mean, it was all washed, but then there were machines there that you could stick the utensils in, and it would disinfect everything. So it wasn't like it didn't like you were throwing out all this plastic. But when you shop for something on the street, it just seems like everything went into these plastic bags, and I just wondered what they're doing with all of that. But these vendors on the streets, just anything you can think of Thai food-wise was there. And, you know, a lot of the stuff is where you eat Thai food in Thailand, the Thai restaurants here, they come close, but it's just definitely not the real thing. It's just the garlic is different. The chilies are different. Even the way so much of the food is done in Thailand is they get these big mortars, which if you've seen them, they're basically like a piece of carved out rock where they throw all the spices in, and even basil and chilies and garlic. They take a wooden pestle and they crush it and pound it out. But it's even the way it's crushed. Some is into a paste, so it goes more creamy wise into the noodles and into the pad thai. Other is more chunky, and that goes to coat things on a different texture. So just the way that that's smashed into that mortar is important on how the cuisine is done. So one must really take a look at, when you're eating Thai food, those small little nuances is really important to know. Now, I happened to be there and I saw something fascinating taking place. Just so happens that I didn't know there's a new king. The old king passed away, so there's now a new king. And I'm on the day that they have the famous Barge Ceremony. And Thailand is known for having these old, massive barges that are hundreds of years old. It's a ceremony that's been going on since 1236. And these barges sit in museums, and some of these barges haven't been taken out in 100 years. And because there's a new king, he had this massive barge ceremony taking them down the river that runs through Bangkok, because Bangkok is built on a swamp. So the city actually floods a lot. And it's built over a very large delta area. And so as you saw about 50 of these barges, some of them had hundreds of people on it, rowing, all dressed up in these colorful costumes. And the king went by on this elaborate boat with the head of it had this dragon. This boat was carved over 100 years ago. And this dragon head rose almost a story out of the river holding this giant crystal ball that was just sparkling in the sun and had a huge golden wreath around its neck. And that carried the king with rowers and ancient rowers that had this ceremony down. And then another barge held the queen, and then another barge held the golden solid Buddha that came down the river. It was a spectacle that it's just once in a lifetime, once in a generation. And I got in there, I kind of was able to get in by the river, and as I was sitting down, security came, and you're supposed to have this badge, and I didn't have the badge. So the security guy freaked out, ran, and 5 other policemen showed up. And they're like, how did you get in here? Well, who are you? What's going on? And I'm like, look, I just showed up. So they searched everything. They searched my bag, and they asked if they could take a picture. And I'm like, absolutely, take a picture of me. So he took a picture, sent it off, and then came back and said, everything's fine. You can sit here and you can watch the river, but you cannot take a selfie. Like, you cannot take a selfie of you with the king, and you have to sit down. And this is just a sign of reverence, because in the country, the king of Thailand is so revered. They love their king, and it's a big ceremony. So as I was leaving, I was trying to get out this road, and I was blocked, and I saw all these people in front of me bowing down and sitting down and not standing. And I was in the middle of the road. I tried to get down in the position that they were, and being so out of weight, being so heavy, and I can't stretch my legs for nothing. They're all in these yoga poses, waiting for the king to get off the boat and come right down the street that I'm on. I kind of snuck out of there and leaned against a tree right in full view of the king being carried on this ceremonial ceremonial platform adorned with gold and golden sewn robes, and just hundreds of people coming through, and the golden Buddha. And I'm watching this just in awe, like to see the splendor of the throne that the king has in Thailand. It's so majestic and it's so magnificent. And just the respect I had for the people and the respect that they have for their king and their history was just a beautiful sight. That is a trait, again, in Thailand that I got, is it's all about respect. I mean, if you're in an argument with a Thai, the worst thing you can say is you disrespected me. You're disrespecting me. That's like the most awful thing you can say, because it's all about respect. And it's also about acceptance. So everything there is just accepting the moment, accepting your position, accepting who is who. And it's traits that I actually have thought deeply about and have taken back with me. And I'm going to be, articulating a lot of that philosophy in mind, because it certainly cleared me up on a lot of things that are going on here today, and how people are are handling other people and situations in Washington, and it's just stuff that I've just accepted, and it's not that I'm giving up, it's just I just don't want to be a part of that. But after seeing the king go by and witnessing all of this, Thailand has such a deep and rich history. And looking at just the health of the people, it's known as the land of smiles. You're looking at very, very, very beautiful people, women, beautiful skin, very, very healthy. And I think our society in the U.S., it's something that we can take a look at, the way the Asian diet is, the way the Thai diet is. And really, I think if we're going to combat so many of our health issues today, we have to look at elements of an Asian diet and bring that into ours and articulate that, because it's so flavorful, so delicious, and so inexpensive when you look at the way that they are making their foods. They're not, you don't see a big piece of chicken on a plate. You don't see this massive steak. You don't see this big pork chop. You see elements of that in very small portions. So yes, there'll be a pork dish, but it'll be incorporated with a lot of vegetables. It'll be incorporated with, papaya salads. It will be incorporated with other elements in there, with small pieces of pork, with small pieces of chicken, with a small portion of rice. But all of that together is a very healthy diet. And then the broth that comes over that. So there's a lot of these soups, and the volume of water that you're eating, along with the portion of vegetables, along with the small portion of protein, whether it's pork or seafood or meat, fish, it fills you up. So you're getting very nutritional elements from the broth, especially incredibly healthy. It can be very, very spicy. So if you saw today, recently in the news, eating chilies and having chilies in your diet is an enormous way to fight off disease and infection and issues within your body. Very, very powerful form of vitamin C that fights so many of the bad cells within our system and literally is like a broom that just sweeps all of that out. The Thai diet incorporates so much of that spice. This whole thing is that, if it tastes good, you shouldn't be eating it, or if it's all white, don't eat it. You know what? That's not necessarily true. I found elements of the Thai diet, or the Asian diet, are so flavorful and so tasty. Yes, so spicy that it literally makes your nose run, but that's good for you. And I really think you should explore this type of cuisine 2 or 3 times out of the week. I mean, in LA, it's everywhere. You just have to go find it out. And it's going to be a lot less expensive than some of these Italian restaurants or some of these Mexican restaurants, which the food is good, but it's not the best thing for you every single day of the week. Take a break from the tacos. Take a break from the meatballs and pasta. And look at some of these broths. Look at some of these dishes that have tremendous amount of vitamins packed into them, and the portions are less. I certainly am going to, and I've talked to several major food companies out there to bring some of these items back here to the U.S. to distribution. I think it's very important. Unfortunately, I know several large distributors and markets that are already doing business in Thailand, but they're not taking the Thai experience. They're just taking the proteins out of Thailand because it's cheap and selling them frozen here in the U.S., and then, which isn't doing much for the diet other than, adding shrimp and adding tuna that's all frozen. And I don't think that's necessarily good for you. I think things that you should take from the Thai diet are what I was just talking about. The spiciness of the soups, the vegetable and the protein portions that they do on these dishes. And, just one of the things also that I saw in Thailand and why a lot of people that are in Bangkok is you just can't get over the fact that our military has left a lot of, let's say, collateral damage throughout the world during the course of its time. Collateral damage such as, blowing up the Bikini Atolls. A lot of radiation is there. Look at some of the damage that has happened in Iraq, an enormous mess that was left. Look at the situation in Libya where we killed Gaddafi and there's civil war and nothing there. And then you can really look back and see what was left in Bangkok during the Vietnam War. The military used Bangkok as a troop relaxing area, which resulted in an enormous amount of sex tourism that's taking place in Bangkok. And it's very, very big going on there. I mean, I was amazed by how many streets and how much of this stuff was happening. And it's just, when you look at, it's a problem that the U.S. left. I mean, recently the Pope was there kind of looking into it, trying to understand how that is really not helping a society that much. And it's something that everybody looks away. The Thai government looks away. People really are ignoring the situation. But I was very uncomfortable just going to Pattaya and walking around. It's not all over Bangkok, but there's certainly big sections of blocks of it. And it was just very uncomfortable to me to see that amount of stuff going on. And, it's up to the individuals to do what they want to do, but I do think it's a big issue and a big problem. And it's something that ultimately you have to be the judge of your own character, what goes on. But it's, to me, I just couldn't believe the amount that was happening there. But looking forward to the different parts of Bangkok that, to me, the malls there. So there's this huge mall called Icon Siam. There's an Apple store there, which this mall is so massive, but it's designed in a way that you would not think it is a mall. It's a city within a city with just 10 stories of stores that you've never heard of before. Food courts with boats, like they built rivers. So imagine having like the Venice canals inside a massive building with vendors selling foods from floating boats. I mean, that's what Bangkok is known for, these large floating markets. But it's been gentrified so much, and so many of these old traditions that I saw in 2000 are gone. These floating markets are gone. A lot of the outdoor markets where people are selling are just gone. They've moved everyone indoor. These gigantic, massive malls, which there are about 30 of them in the city. And they've moved everybody in, and they've gentrified so much of this city to where the cultures are preserved, but not in a way that you would expect it to be. It's an interesting kind of juxtaposition of how things are going on. But this Icon Siam Mall, if malls are dying in the U.S., but they're exploding in Thailand, because you go into a mall and it's like, okay, how are we going to solve the problem in the city where there's no car dealerships? So you know what they do? They have car dealerships in the mall. So you're seeing like massive showrooms of all the cars that are there in the mall. And instead of driving the car around the mall, you're sitting in a three-dimensional like box and driving the cars in these very fascinating, artificial environments where you're feeling like you're driving the car. It is so bizarre. So that's where people going to buy the cars are in these malls. And there are hundreds of restaurants, big name restaurants in the malls. There's movie theaters. It's the way a mall should be. It has it shouldn't even be called a mall because it's so sophisticated. There's doctor's offices in there. You could have plastic surgery done. I had glasses made there in 30 minutes for $40, by the way. And it just goes on and on and on. All the unique things that are inside this mall, plus an Apple store. So you really see how advanced the city is, the Thai Bangkok is. It's such a deal. It's such a bargain. And I just, again, hate to say that, oh, the place is cheap. It's not, because the quality of what you're getting is the same, if not better, than in the U.S. It just so happens to be less expensive. It's just, it can't be when you are getting on a ferry and going across the river and it's 4 cents. And, you know, you're having a hamburger at Arno's. You know, I was brought to Arno's. Everybody says, oh, you got to go to Arno's. I'm like, I don't want a hamburger. I'm in Thailand. You got to have Arno's hamburger. Well, I had Arno's hamburger, and it was the best hamburger I've had in so long. And it was a $6 hamburger. $6 with a side salad and bread and ground beef from Arno's. And, you know, everybody was staring at me. What do I think? What do I think? And I'm like, yeah, okay, everybody, it's fine. I appreciate it. Yes, it's a great hamburger, and it was, but it's like, God, I'm in Thailand. And then I went to this culinary institute that's there, and it's run by a very well-known international chef called Anthony. He's a British guy from Wales that have worked in 5-star restaurants around the world. And he is now the head of this culinary institute where he's training the next chefs for the city of Bangkok. And this place, you could eat off the ground. And there they're training Thai food and bakeries and all this English food. And they have a cafeteria where you can go and have just a spectacular lunch that all these eager students are making. And then I looked at the corner and I stopped and I had a moment, and I saw this young girl sitting there polishing one by one every single piece of silverware that was in that place. And then I sat down and I had my lunch, and I always like to silently give grace. I like to silently thank whoever is out there providing this. But that lunch was a special prayer for that girl who polished every single utensil that was there. And it just thought, geez, I'm picking up this fork and this spoon, and this was hand touched and hand polished by one person. And that was an offering to her, because she was so happy doing it. She didn't know I recognized. I actually took a picture, and I'm going to frame that picture and put it on my desk, because for me, those are the hidden heroes. Those are the people no one talks about, no one appreciates. And I'm focusing on that because we all must need to stop and open our eyes and really, really notice people that are doing the simplest things that really make your life so precious and so beautiful. And those are the unknown heroes of the culinary world. Thank you for joining me today at Truth in Food. I'm John Robert Sutton. For more information about this program, please visit my website at suttonselects.com or follow me on social media at Sutton Selects.